Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down the current situation at the Kingdom from the most recent episode of The Walking Dead, Season 8, Episode 8, How It's Gotta Be. So with that being said, warning of spoilers for everything in the show up to episode 808, and let's jump right into this. Now, as we go through and discuss the cliffhanger that we were left off at, I'll also be giving my predictions for the next episode, Season 8, Episode 9, along with some death predictions for the main group of characters at the Kingdom during the back half of Season 8. Now first off, I wanted to focus on King Ezekiel. After the horrific slaughter of his men during the first half of the season, he's been weeping in depression, but his sudden surprise kicked him into action. Although he couldn't find the spirit to get up and continue to fight, once his main home and people living there were threatened and getting invaded, he put all of his emotion aside to get the job done. Now, I'll jump more into Ezekiel's character in a future video that I'd actually like to devote entirely to him, but I just wanted to mention how well they're establishing his character arc this season in my opinion. It's a great adaptation from the comics, and it definitely has potential to continue onto something even better. Now, at the end of the action we see from the Kingdom in episode 808, Ezekiel has himself locked inside of the Kingdom walls with Gavin, willingly giving himself up for punishment as he successfully got his people to safety. So with all the civilians from the Kingdom on their way to the hilltop, along with Ezekiel left at the Kingdom with Gavin, what's to come of him? Well, the last we see of Ezekiel, he's getting roughed up by Gavin and his men, but then we get a tease of what's to come, as we actually get shown Morgan listening into everything that's going on from the other side of the Kingdom walls.
I liked you, Ezekiel. Your people are gonna look up at the sanctuary fence, and they're gonna see their king is dead. Keep loading the trucks. Time to try anything, break his arm. Tired of playing bean tag.
Now, there's still the question of how Morgan even got there when he was supposed to be overlooking the sanctuary from when the saviors escaped, but I feel like I'll get into that in another video in the future. But for now, all I want to focus on is the fact that Ezekiel is captured and Morgan is there to save him. Not only that, but in the 30-second promo trailer released for episode 809, we can actually see what looks like Carol helping Morgan infiltrate the Kingdom as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the last we see of Carol when she yells at Ezekiel to not close the gate in on himself? And speaking of that, I just wanted to quote a hilarious comment on Reddit with a bunch of upvotes that I saw, and I just had to say for future reference. The user says, "I like Carol, but the way she said Ezekiel no when he locked himself inside the Kingdom was pretty damn weak. It was like she was telling a kid not to jump on the couch."
Save him, like you saved me.
Wait, Ezekiel, no!
Anyways, will Morgan and Carol save King Ezekiel? When we see Morgan listening in on Gavin talking to Ezekiel, where's Carol? Is she with him and just off screen, or is she maybe sneaking around back? Have they already met up at this point? There's just a lot of minor questions I have about some of these scenes where they just kind of leave it vague and they don't really answer it. It's not even really that important. It's just I'd kind of like them to clarify things a little bit more, you know what I mean? But anyways, they'll have to probably put Carol and Morgan at extreme risk here in order to really make it interesting, because they are all main characters, so I hope that it doesn't just feel like they have a bunch of plot armor, but I find it extremely suiting how Morgan and Carol just so happen to be the ones to go in and attempt to save Ezekiel, as Morgan and Carol were the two characters who first introduced the Kingdom into the show at the very beginning of Season 7. So, how intense will they make this battle? It will only be Carol and Morgan versus Gavin's group, so how many men does Gavin even have here? Well, in the scene where Gavin is talking to all the people at the Kingdom, I counted about 6 people beside him, along with 11 or so people with guns surrounding the civilians. So I counted about 17 saviors, 18 including Gavin, so let's just round up to 20 to be safe. Now, Gavin's outpost was the one that Ezekiel attacked, and everyone there died, so I'm assuming that these 20 saviors are men from like the sanctuary that Negan lent to Gavin for the attack. Gavin mentions how the sanctuary was destroyed, but he never even mentioned the outpost, so what's the deal? Is Gavin even aware that all of his men at the outpost are dead? Did Gavin and Simon maybe both return to their outposts off screen after they escaped the sanctuary just to find everyone dead? I'm actually planning on discussing how many saviors are left at this point, as the show has been very vague with numbers, but I'll keep that plot hole discussion for another video entirely. Now in episode 809, I feel like we're going to get some sort of flashback showing Negan actually escaping the sanctuary with all the saviors, so we may see Simon and Gavin go and check out the outpost then, but the fact that Gavin doesn't mention all of his men getting slaughtered at the outpost when he attacks the kingdom kinda implies that he isn't even aware of it yet. But regardless, if Carol and Morgan are going against 20 men, they're gonna have to do some sneaky tactics, maybe cause a distraction or two, maybe a red herring, I don't know, they're gonna have to do something to try and take all these people out, or at least distract them and get them away from Ezekiel, so that they can try and sneak Ezekiel out of there without getting caught. So as far as death predictions go, who could possibly die as an outcome of this mission to save Ezekiel? Will Carol die? No, probably not, but hell, after what they did to Carl, who knows at this point? Honestly though, I see Carol surviving the longest out of any season 1 character still alive at this point, assuming that the actor never wants to leave the show, and also assuming that they don't kill her off due to budgeting issues. Now, although I think Carol will survive for a long time, she could still get injured or get put in danger. I hope they don't give her obvious plot armor, as I said earlier, if they do put her in a situation like that, because it would be glaringly obvious. There's still going to be a lot of fighting in the back half of Season 8, so Carol will definitely have a few battles yet to come. During this time, she may possibly have a close call or two, and if so, I hope that the circumstances are realistic, along with the solution of how she gets out of it and survives. Now, moving on, what will happen between Morgan and Gavin? We've already talked about that a little bit, but will they have some sort of confrontation between each other, or some sort of final standoff? Is this going to be the end of their story arc here? It would actually be a huge disappointment for me if they killed off Gavin, so I hope it doesn't happen. Gavin and Simon have a big possibility of both dying at the end of the season, as we need some sort of payoff for when we win the war. And if Carl's death is supposed to change Rick's mind about Mercy, resulting in us keeping Negan alive, they should kill off some of the other main saviors during the final few battles of the war in order to make it truly feel like we're winning and overthrowing them. Although they could kill off Gavin, I hope that they keep him alive and instead kill off someone else, like let's say Simon. Now, I've loved Stephen Oggs in about everything I've seen him in, so I would miss seeing him on the show, but it would be more fitting to kill off him instead of Gavin, as Simon seems more brutal and less sympathetic. I really hope that Gavin doesn't die, and that he is instead put into charge post all-out war. I'd love it if we had people like Savior Gavin and Savior Laura running the place after the war, as it would make sense for them to continue a community there, since most of the civilians will most likely want to continue living there instead of having to move to the Kingdom or the Hilltop or Alexandria or something. So if the Sanctuary continues to thrive in the apocalypse after Negan and the Saviors are technically taken down from their point of power, it would make sense to have people that the Sanctuary civilians are familiar with, aka Gavin. He seems like the most logical person to put into power, as I feel like Gavin could really have a real redemption arc in the back half of Season 8, along with the first half of Season 9. I've never seen his actor before this show, but the actor does an amazing job too, and I definitely miss seeing him around as well if he ends up getting killed off by the end of the war. But that leaves the other question, will Gavin end up killing Morgan? Now, Morgan could die in the process of freeing Ezekiel. We already talked about that because of the whole crossover thing, but again, we'll have to wait and see. Now, the reason why I bring this up again is because I was going to mention this earlier, but if I had to imagine a situation where Morgan dies, I would like to think maybe Carol and Ezekiel escape while Morgan stays behind, either as a distraction or because he's already caught or fatally injured or possibly already dead. I would love to see more of Morgan, as he is one of my favorite characters, but since his character is crossing over to Fear the Walking Dead in Season 4, his days may be numbered in the original show. There is a high possibility that Morgan will die by the end of Season 8, as I'm not sure if Eleni James will continue to be on both Walking Dead shows at the same time, because he may get killed off in the original Walking Dead, so he only has to work on Fear the Walking Dead. Now, Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 started filming just a week or so after the Walking Dead Season 8 filming finished, so Lenny James was a pretty damn busy actor this year, directly moving from one Walking Dead show to the other. That being said, Lenny James implied that he was saying goodbye to the Walking Dead crew for good, and he wouldn't have said things like that if he was returning for filming in Season 9. Although he filmed both The Walking Dead Season 8 and Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 this year, I doubt that he'll be filming both shows from now on, so that means that Morgan will most likely be killed off by the end of Season 8. Whether Morgan dies here with Gavin, or if he's later given the Nicholas death from the comics, Morgan will most likely bite the dust by the end of Season 8. I hate to say it, but it's probably true. What do you guys think about the entire situation going down at the Kingdom? Leave any predictions or theories down in the comments section below, and feel free to let me know about anything I may have missed. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, or even subscribe for more Walking Dead Season 8 content in the near future. I hope you guys had an amazing holiday season and a good new year. Mario Odyssey's been consuming quite a lot of my spare time, so apologies for not getting this video out sooner, but as we jump into the new year, I'll jump back on the grind and continue to pump out more Walking Dead videos because there's just so much to discuss. And now, if you'd like to take an extra step in helping support my content, consider checking out my Patreon, where there's a bunch of different rewards involving the channel, such as a chance to directly influence the videos being produced. It isn't necessary by any means, but it could really help in the long run. And as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.